Under 40 CEOs Drive Your Ambition. On this episode of Under 40 CEOs Drive Your Ambition, Fade Ogunro drives Nkem Uwaje Begho. Meet Fade Ogunro. Fade has dedicated a professional life to the pursuit of equality, opportunity, and prosperity across Africa. In her 15-year career, she has been a vital part of several entrepreneurial and philanthropic organizations while maintaining a prolific voice in international media. Currently, she is focused on promoting Bookings Africa, an on-demand digital marketplace that seeks to make critically important improvements to working conditions across the continent. Her advocacy for women's rights led Fade to partner the Cherry Blair Foundation for Women and become the first female African to be appointed to the foundation's global campaign board. Meet Nkem Uwaje Begho. Nkem is a seasoned information technology professional with over 15 years of industry experience in Africa's largest emerging economy, with a deep purpose and focus on bridging the digital divide and transforming Africa by harnessing the benefits of digital. Currently the CEO of Futuresoft, one of Nigeria's leading digital and technology solutions companies, providing a broad range of business solutions for the scaling of African enterprise to consistently attract and retain its target audience, optimize its processes, and increase its bottom line. Futuresoft has serviced over 175 clients across 20 industries and has trained over 1,000 CEOs and executives in digital transformation and digital and social media marketing. Nkem is recognized as an Obama African leader, Forbes Top 10 Female Tech Founders in Africa, Global Digital Women Top 10 Most Inspiring Women in Africa, Lionesses of Africa Top 100 Women, and Ventures Africa 42 Most Innovative Africans. She also sits on the board of Stanbic IBTC Bank.
Okay, so thanks for joining me on this ride. Didn't really know where we're going to, but we shall find out.
All right, to the unknown.
Right? Journey to the unknown.
Just like entrepreneurship.
So I wonder if we get to keep this car.
That would be cool.
So Nkem, thank you so much for joining me. For everyone who's just tuned in, my name's Fade Ogunro. I'm CEO of BookingsAfrica.com, and I'll let Nkem introduce herself. She's just so fabulous.
And I'm Nkem Uwaje Begho, CEO of Featuresoft.
So what does Featuresoft do?
So Futuresoft is an IT service company, and we focus on providing digital marketing as well as digital transformation consultancy solutions, majorly for sort of small and middle-sized businesses that are looking to grow and sort of looking to get themselves to their own next level.
How did Futuresoft start? Because 13 years ago, I mean, were you born here? Were you brought up here? Is it that you experienced, a tech, or you just experienced life elsewhere and you had a bit more of an open mind, you were exposed and then come to Nigeria and then saw some gaps? Or what made you actually identify the gap and realize that people are going to need help building websites?
So I grew up here and then I went to Germany. I studied in Germany. I worked there. I actually studied bioinformatics, which is a double major in computer science and biology. And then I worked in research.
Yay, geek. I love it. I love geeks. I'm
Me
a
too.
super geek too.
Geeks in disguise. And so I came back at some point to do my NYSC, and then I worked for a startup here actually in tech, and it was just like, I don't know what these guys were thinking when they started their startup, because I was just like, there was no startup scene. I think in terms of the gap in the market, I don't understand why when I'm looking for a particular type of restaurant or a hairdresser or something else, I have to ask my friend and or my mom or someone, right? It was never something that you could sort of independently go and find. So I said, I think that we need to start putting African businesses on the map and actually start telling those stories, right? And obviously back then there wasn't really that much happening with, you know, social media, especially for businesses. So it was more just like web development and hosting, and that's how we started, because a lot of businesses were still using at gmail.com and yahoo.com or hotmail.com. And yeah, so we then basically got to the point where we just said, okay, we'll start this. And it was tough. I mean, there were people who were like, you know, they were like, okay, thank you for, you know, this presentation and this pitch, but, you know, my dear, I've been making money since before you were born. What is this your website going to do for me? So, yeah. So I think it's just sticking with it. And what I realized is that, you know, sort of like consumer education was really, really an integral part to selling. So I started trying to figure out, like, how do I educate my, you know, potential clients and still sell to them.
So yeah, but the reason that I actually reached out to you, so I think we should tell people how we actually met.
Okay.
Because I have no shame in my game, guys. I stalked her on social media, and please feel free to do the same. If you see somebody that you respect and you look up to, I sent this message out. I think it was International Women's Day this year.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was just like, I wanted to host some women that I admire in the tech space, in the tech industry, and I was like, okay, who do I love? So I literally just DM'd Nkem, and I was like, hey, what are you up to?
You didn't even DM, it was like a tweet.
Oh.
So I was just like, hi, I want to have dinner for International Women's Day with these women.
I called them out, basically. So I didn't even DM, I went on I was like, I really love these women and I want to have dinner with them. But it ended up being really nice.
Yeah.
So we had like a private dinner. We also had a female chef as well, who was on Bookings Africa. Shout out to Chef Obehi.
Very yummy food.
Very yummy. It was like a 5 or 6 course meal. It was so good. So the reason that I wanted to say this was just that I found that when I started my journey in the tech industry, I didn't really have there weren't a lot of women that were accessible in the space. And those that were, they were quite busy. I felt like they were quite saturated. And I just wanted somebody who was like, just, how do I put it, just a bit normal. Normal, smart,
geeky like you.
Yeah, and just like they just get it. And I find that sometimes a lot of people do things for headlines rather than for the actual impact. And
I can understand. It's like hard when
it's a bit intimidating moving from one industry to the other, especially when you feel like an imposter. Like, okay, I don't really have enough knowledge to really operate as I would like to in this terrain or in this industry. And that's the one thing about like being the geeks that we are. I literally try to study as much as I could just about being an entrepreneur, running a startup, tech, everything. So that even if whatever room I was in, I at least had a base knowledge. I'm not there like, oh, what's IoT? What's AI? What's ML? Like, I didn't want to be that girl.
But I think that's also how you sort of understand like how the industry evolves and understand the trends, by just knowing what people are doing, what people are building, what they're up to, you know, and having those conversations. I think that for me is, you know, sort of like the beauty of being plugged into that tech ecosystem.
And congratulations on joining the board of Stanbic IBTC Bank. How did that happen? Because that's like when you say boss, I'm sure you're probably like the youngest person on the board there.
I am.
How did that happen?
So I was nominated by someone who sits on the board of the bank, and I had never met her. I didn't even know about her, but we were in a WhatsApp networking group together, and I shared a lot of, you know, things that I write and, you know, just general information about, you know, maybe speaking engagements and different things on there. And I usually try and do sort of like summaries of like key points that would be interesting to the particular people within that networking group. And I guess she must have asked around.
Oh wow. And she nominated you?
Yes, she nominated me. And then obviously
what was the interview process like, the selection process?
Yeah, so there was an interview with the members of the nomination committee. So it's some of the directors as well as the group CEO. And it was really interesting, that interview, because I was really, really scared. And because, I mean, like, you know, when you've been an entrepreneur for so long, you've never really done like a job interview.
Yeah.
Right?
You're the one interviewing people.
Exactly. I'm the one interviewing, and even when I go and pitch for a job, I'm there, I'm prepared, I know exactly what I'm going to say, and my aim is to win this business, right? And this is a little bit different than a job interview in a sector where you're just like, what do I know about financial services? But I think, one of the things that really helped was just having a support system of people around me who were just like, but they don't want you for your knowledge about financial services.
Right.
They want you for your knowledge about technology. So, you already know all of this stuff.
It's so inspiring. One thing that I've noticed is that we all talk about digital transformation, but do you think ultimately, by way of the society that we're in and a low income economy, is it elitist?
Yeah, so I don't think, thinking about digital transformation on the continent is elitist. And I'll tell you why. I think that we just have to figure out more ways of getting devices, data, and functionality in the hands of users. So there's this guy in the market. His name is Chinedu, and he sells curtains and blinds and things like that. And I introduced him to a couple of my friends, and one day I went to the market and I saw him, and he was there with his phone, and I was like, what are you doing? And he's like, he's trying to send an email. I was just like, Chinedu, you have email? He said, that one of your friends that you introduced me to, she said that she wants him to send her all the samples of, she doesn't want it on WhatsApp, she wants it in an email, in a document. So he had to go and open an email, right, in order, so he's like, this is a 1 million naira transaction. So he was like, I'm gonna go get an email, right? So the incentive was there, right? He understood that if he doesn't do it in this format that this lady has asked for, he wouldn't get the job, right? Which meant that he had to go and learn the skills, right? So he found someone who knew how to set up an email. He set up an email. He found someone who could help him, copy and paste the images into, a Word document or whatever he ended up sending, right? And that then created value for him, right? And I think that once you have that, opening where people see value creation and people see this has saved me time. I didn't have to go to her house with all my load and show her the samples, right? So I saved money on, going there, right? That is the data money that you then invest, right?
Absolutely. So what's the future of Futuresoft?
So I think at the moment we're, focused on creating more solutions for executive training, because I think that that's what I've seen. There's quite a big gap, right, when it comes to board members, for example, right? So you have all the skills when it comes to, corporate governance and strategy and things like that. But the truth is that business strategy in today's world simply is hinged on digital transformation.
But yeah, this has definitely been fun.
Yeah, so much fun.
I think that, what you've been doing is amazing. Literally, like I said, I've been stalking you. Even before I was following you on Twitter, I knew. I was just like, okay, let me just see what she's up to.
I have so many mutual friends. That's the funniest thing.
Everyone I know is just like, oh, I know really well. And I'm just like, why don't I know her? So, no, it's glad that we can actually hang out, go for a drive, catch up. And I'm glad that, in our ways, we're able to encourage others to, just follow whatever passion they have.
Under 40 CEOs, Drive Your Ambition, brought to you by Mitsubishi, shot on Samsung. Marsilia Motors, sole distributors of Mitsubishi Motors in Nigeria.